Time to take a look at what's making headlines here in France. Joining me on set is Maxime Balcon. Good morning.
Hi, Delano.
You're starting out with some French politics.
I am indeed. So François Fillon accuse François Hollande. François Fillon accuses François Hollande, reads the headline in this piece in centre-right daily Le Figaro. So Fillon, the Conservative presidential candidate, has accused the Socialist president of orchestrating a string of media leaks that have severely tarnished his presidential campaign. We read here that Fillon is now saying that Hollande is at the head of a black cabinet and the ringleader of a secret cell that intends to destroy Fillon's presidential ambitions. This piece describes the allegations as a desperate Fillon playing his last card. Let's not forget that the former presidential frontrunner is now in third place behind Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen.
And you found a piece that goes into a bit more detail about the source of François Fillon's allegations.
Yeah, so this piece again in Le Figaro takes a look at a book published yesterday by journalists whom Fillon has described as far from friends. Nonetheless, we read here, Fillon is insisting that his evidence that Hollande obtained wiretaps linked to judicial investigations concerning him comes from this very book. We were seeking a secret cell and we found it, says Fillon. But it's important to note here, Delano, that one of the authors of this book has vehemently denied that version of events. The journalist insists that Fillon is only lashing out now because his Élysée ambitions are on the rocks.
On the rocks, indeed. Now, it does seem that there's no end to François Fillon's troubles. I mean, we've had the Penelope Gate scandal, the scandal about his expensive suits, which he was getting as gifts, and it's been falling to one woman to deal with all this.
It has, and her name is Anne Moreau, Fillon's chief communications advisor. We read here that she's got one of the most difficult jobs in the industry. Let's not forget that her employer is under formal investigation into misuse of public funds. We read here that she hasn't quite managed to get everyone on board either. She's been subjected to a number of allegations that she was coaching Fillon via text during the live TV debate on TF1. Allegations that's worth saying, Delano, she has been dismissing as absurd.
Speaking of absurdity, let's move to the front page of L'Opinion.
Yeah, so this cartoon was just too good to pass up. Underneath the headline 2017 La Présidentielle, we see US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin having a little chat there. It's pretty crazy this election, says Trump, and we can see there pictures of all the people who just a year ago looked likely to be in the running for the top job, all of them crossed out. You've got President François Hollande, Manuel Valls, Nicolas Sarkozy, all the once usual suspects. Putin replies there, "You haven't seen anything yet," as he prepares to give the order to start hacking and, of course, influencing the French elections. So the double-page spread that follows, Delano, outlines just how many scandals, intrigues, and even innovations have marked the last few months, the likes of which have never before been seen under the Fifth Republic. The paper goes on to put together a list of these firsts. It contains everything from H for hologram, a reference, of course, to far-left candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon turning himself into a hologram on the presidential train, and U for urgence, emergency. This is the first time a presidential election in France has been held under a state of emergency. It's worth a read.
That's true. Now shifting focus from the race for the Élysée Palace, you've been looking at details of ongoing civil unrest over in French Guiana.
Yeah, so French Guiana is, of course, a French overseas territory, so it is part of France. A number of different groups in the territory have been protesting against inequality and structural discrimination, what they claim to be inequality and structural discrimination, since the beginning of the week. We're talking about a lack of hospitals, inflations, that sort of thing. Demonstrators have set up a number of roadblocks, essentially bringing parts of the territory to a standstill. The latest disruptions even forced a European rocket launch provider to indefinitely postpone the launch of one of its rockets. We read here in the newspaper French Guiana that the government's Minister for France's overseas territories has agreed to meet with the leaders of the protests in Paris next week.
And you're ending on mosquitoes. You found a piece in Le Parisien that reveals that there are slightly more of them in Paris. I haven't felt them.
No, you haven't, and that's because they're all living underground, Delano.
Jesus.
About 20,000 mosquitoes are living underground in laboratories at Paris's Pasteur Institute. And of course, they're not being kept as pets. 12 mosquitologists, I think that's how you pronounce it, we read here, are working out how best to tackle the airborne killer. About 725,000 people die each year from mosquito-borne diseases. With more than 3,500 species of mosquito around the world, we read here that the aim isn't to eliminate them, it's not to kill them, but rather to stimulate their immune systems in such a way that any viruses they carry are destroyed before reaching their saliva. So Paris, it seems, is at the cutting edge of the war against mosquitoes.
As long as they're not flying around, I'm fine with it. Thank you very much. Haximaz Balkan with the day's press review.